Good morning, y'all. I'm Finn Graves, and today I'm working on a new substrate. It's Arches watercolor paper. And so I'm taking a picture of Bethany, my ex-wife, who I have I have lots of feelings about working on this piece. But one of my ways of processing and feeling things is to transform my feelings through working on it. Bethany was my muse for the last decade. And so working on this piece allowed me to both experience the absolute pleasure of our magical qualities in our lives together. And these pieces, so these photographs that I'm tracing from are photographs I took. And Bethany's been one of my models for years and years and years and years. And I think that's a pretty common thing in an artist's life, is to have a muse who a muse who stimulates you and who delights you and fascinates you and just makes you feel as if your artwork really, really matters. And that's something that happened with me and Bethany. We took a lot of shots of each other. We did an intense amount of photography, and I haven't been able to look at any of these pictures over the last year. We got divorced last year, and I'm only now beginning to process it. It's been a whole year, and I'm not only now beginning to process the fact that we're divorced, but I'm only now being able to look at photographs. So I went through all the photographs that we had, and I deleted all the ones that were no good, and I kept the ones that were still really good, and so I deleted like 12,000 photographs, because I wasn't even able to go through our last couple of years before that, just because I was still photographing her, but we were having a hard time. And so this is the first piece that I'm making post our divorce. And so I wanted to take some time and really experience the process of creating, knowing that we are no longer together, and see what that felt like. And it was deeply therapeutic for me. I found that my feelings and my emotions did what my feelings and emotions always do. They loosened when I use ink, when I use paint. And right here I'm using purple calligraphy ink because of the way that resonates with the transfer paper that I was working with. And I found, not only in the test of this Arches paper, but testing out this slightly different style of art, not different in my comic style. This is very much my comic style, but different in my painting style. I was able to let go of some of the frustrations and sadness that I had during the process of painting. And that's one of the things that just happens for me as an artist. My art is very much about therapy. My art is very much about emotional wellness. My art is about the transformative process of taking something that causes me pain and transforming it into something beautiful or compelling or different, at the very least. And so working with this piece, it did the thing that I needed it to. I think the piece turned out really beautiful, and getting to watch myself do the speed painting process I find interesting because it speeds up everything that I do, and I can see the strokes that I make, and I can see the ways I approach things, and that reminds me as an artist ways that I can approach things differently. So this is definitely something I'm going to be doing more of. I will be working with visuals of her over the next period of time. This was a test run, so this is like a gigantic thumbnail for a bigger piece I'm working on. I've been working with the concepts of the tarot cards for probably the last decade. Usually I keep that kind of art to myself, but I feel like the world is kind of needing a different idea of how to live in the world right now after the quarantine. Everybody got shaken up. And so one of the ways that I live in the world that's different than how other people do is I make magical paintings about people I love. And so if it inspires you to make magical paintings about people you love, I think that's phenomenal. I'm using the Jane Davenport watercolor here. My buddy Benjamin gave them to me, and I am deeply impressed with the Arches watercolor paper. I got the option to pick up some gigantic sheets for about 40 bucks on Craigslist, and they normally would have been like 200, so it seemed like a good purchase. And I enjoyed it. I love the texture under my hands as I'm working with it. And I love the way that it held and it didn't leak, and it felt luxurious. And that process was really phenomenal and exciting to me. So, all in all, this was a very therapeutic piece. I sent it to her and I showed it to her, and I made a TikTok about it because she had this ability to make me feel like the world was full of magic and that everything was possible if we just kept going and doing things together. And I miss that feeling. I miss that sensation that everything is possible in the world as long as you have a person there with you. So, yeah. It makes me have feelings just to do the voiceover of this, but I really enjoyed the process and I will do more. You know how sometimes, even when you really need to do the work, or for me, even when I really need to do the work, it's hard to do it. It's hard to force things that cause us soreness in places. But overall, it was worth it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that it's, like, most people think I can only do really simplistic art, but this is actually more common art that I do. It's just the art that I keep to myself. And I'm realizing that the art that I do for me might be the art that other people actually need to see. So, thank you. See you next week.